This goat keeps following me around. What do you guys think of my new friend, McGoaty McGoatface? Hello, fellow adventurers. Thornton here, and we are out at Mount Massive Trailhead. Now, this is a Class 1 14er. There are 5 classes total. Class 1 actually is the easiest. This is the second tallest peak in Colorado. Interesting enough, it's going to be about a 13.1 mile trail, so there's going to be a ton that's a round loop. Along with that, there's going to be about 4,500 feet of elevation. So there's going to be a lot to see today. We're going to go over everything in the scenery. We're also going to go over some tips and tricks if you've never done a 14er, or what you need to do to actually go ahead and get one of these done. And a Class 1 is definitely where you're going to want to start. So without further ado, let's start climbing this mountain.
One of the great things about hiking is you can do it solo or you can do it with a group. Now, obviously, solo is a little bit more dangerous. However, you can bring your furry friends to go ahead and help you out with it. You do want to keep them on leash. It's required by like federal and state law, and it's just safer for the other wildlife out there. You don't want these things chasing mountain goats and then falling off the side of a cliff. Another thing you guys are going to want to know is when doing a trail, like a Class 1 for instance, the trail is very easily marked. You know exactly where you're going. That being said, sometimes it is helpful to have an app like All Trails. This is a great little app right here. Lets me know the time that I've been hiking, the distance I've gone, where I am on the trail, and if I get lost, it will put me back on trail. This is especially helpful during the winter time, but since we're like pretty much in the middle of summer, it's not going to be a big issue, but just something I'd highly recommend. We're about our first mile into this 14er. It's interesting, it looks like there was a fire here not long ago, or at least just a lot of dead shrubbery and trees, a little out of breath, so on and so forth. And the reason for that, and if you've never done a 14er, you're going to want to know this, is that, well, when doing these, the first mile absolutely sucks. It is horrible, no fun, and your heart's kind of like, what the hell is going on? After the first mile or so, your body gets used to it. It gets much easier. You'll basically be able to run the rest of the hike no problem. It's just the first mile is a little bit of a hindrance, but just keep pushing on, and believe me, the views are worth it. My favorite parts about doing 14ers in Colorado is that, well, they have these streams and rivers, which are really cool. I would not recommend going into them. Most of it is snow melt, will absolutely freeze you. There's a lot of cool wildflowers that grow here as well. It's just overall, it's a great spot to actually like have an apple or a snack or your lunch, but just cool places to stop on the way while you're going up the mountain. So fun fact, in July and August, that's when we typically have wildflower season in Colorado, and these are columbine. These are the state flower. They also are known for a much more darker thing. If you were around in the 90s, it's absolutely cool to see. These are one of my favorite flowers, and it's really great to do hikes right around this time. One, because, well, the weather, as you can see, is absolutely phenomenal, but also you get all the wildflowers, so highly recommend it. Actually passed the tree line for this 14er on Mount Massive. Tree lines are probably the most important and dangerous thing to know about any 14er. You can tell I'm a little out of breath. I wonder why I feel so fatigued.
Oh yeah, now I remember why I'm tired. I decided to go to the gym at 3 in the morning before going and doing it at the 14er. At least I get the gym all to myself, but real smart thinking there, Thor.
Oh yeah, that's probably why. That's a good point. Now, back into why tree lines are so important. One, you can tell that trees stop growing after that. This is around 11 to 12,000 feet. It does depend on which mountain you're on. It all has to do with latitude and other things. But the reason they are so dangerous is because when you're doing them, well, the simple fact of the matter is when you see a giant thundercloud coming in, that means that you are exposed and you can be hit, and a lot of people die from this. You see a thundercloud, the first thing you should do is immediately book it to the tree line as fast as possible. If that's not possible, well, then, I mean, good luck to you, and you're probably going to be burnt human. Along with that, this tree line is actually pretty interesting. Right there that we're looking at right now, that's Mount Elbert. That is the highest 14er in Colorado. I did that about 2 weeks ago. It's a bit shorter of a hike than the one we're on right now. And since we're at 11 to 12,000 feet, that means we're near the top of Mount Massive. And I'm pretty sure the one we're looking at right there is indeed Mount Massive. We should be there pretty soon. Squeaking, I told you? That's the Marmot Squeak right there. He's hanging out in his little rock, checking his den. The dogs would definitely like to go see him, but they're not going to. We're near the top. That's not actually the top. It looks like it's going to be there. We got a little bit of snow, but let's finish this up.
Well, folks, we didn't make it to the top of Mount Massive. It is an absolutely stunner and killing view. Unfortunately, a little bit windy, but that's just what it comes when you're at the top of the world. Well, there's really no cover. You guys doing good? Ragnar, Brett, like this. Brett, how did you get over there? Your leash was... All right, well, we're gonna time back up. But so you might be wondering, what do we do next? Now that we're at the top, we're gonna go ahead and enjoy our lunch. I highly recommend it. You might be thinking to yourself, wow, that looks like a delicious sandwich. Well, unfortunately, this is the backstory of the sandwich. Now, this might sound like the nastiest combo of all time. Also, don't judge my kitchen, please. But eggs with a little bit of protein bread with tuna combined, it gives you the ultimate energy. You do want a full snack pack for the day. I got everything from tuna, kidney beans, apple, banana, Greek yogurt, a energy drink for on the way home, 2 protein power bars, 2 packets of beef jerky, a Fairlife, a protein shake for the morning at the gym, and of course, a cute puppy. What's up, Freya? It's always super important to eat very healthy, especially for your dogs as well. You want to make sure that they're fed, have tons of water. Enjoy the top. You only get to go up here so very often. I like to spend like 30 minutes just hanging out. Sometimes it's a little bit windy. I have plenty of time to hang out because there's no really thunderclouds going on. You don't have to worry about thunderstorms. We got plenty of time to get back to the tree line. It only took about 3 hours to get to the top for about 7.5 miles or so, so not that bad. I'm gonna finish my sandwich and then we'll go ahead and explain how, well, some of the descent works and some of the things you guys are gonna wanna be aware of. Well, didn't expect this, but we have a mountain goat friend joining us at the top. This is why it's important to have, you know, it's leashed up, but I think he's just saying hi, and he's gonna take off now. They're off. So one thing you guys are going to want to keep in mind when doing your descent is that, well, yes, it is going to be a lot easier on your lungs. You're not going to be breathing hard because you're not huffing and puffing up the hill. What you notice I just did is I tripped. You will trip, most likely all over the place, and that's because your quads and your muscles are exhausted. And while it may seem that you burn more energy and your muscles would be more tired going uphill, that's actually not the case. Your quads basically act like shock absorbers for about 4,597 feet of elevation that you now have to go back down, and that's a long way down. And well, your legs are likely to be wary and trip, so do be aware of that. And well, you're also going to get caught up enjoying the absolutely breathtaking views. What can I say? So I totally missed these on the way up, but I'm glad I caught them on the way down. They're actually some of the cooler looking plants I've seen, and they have these little insects on them. And if you're familiar with helldivers, these are basically terminids. They're called aphids, and they're basically parasitic. They grow all underneath the plant. They eat it. What's really cool about aphids, though, and I learned this growing up, is that, well, ladybugs are their natural predator. So if you ever thought ladybugs were just like harmless little vegetarians, they're actually a lot more badass than that. What does that have to do with the mitochondria, you might ask? Well, nothing really. But the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So that was our hike to the top of Mount Massive. I do want to go over one other tip I totally forgot. Colorado is very high elevation, very low humidity. All 14ers are going to deal with this because you're at such high elevation. Make sure you are drinking tons and tons of water. You will get dehydrated. You will look like a husk afterwards, a la me. And you know, it's just an important tip. Now, in terms of reviewing this on a scale of how easy of a 14er is this compared to, you know, all the other ones in the state of Colorado, it's easily like a 1 or a 2. Now, in terms of just class 1s, I'd say it's like a 2.5, maybe a 3. The reasoning for that is that, well, it is a very easy hike. There's not a lot of different types of terrain that you have to handle. It's really just long distance with a lot of elevation. That being said, because it is very long and a lot of elevation, you are going to want to go ahead and watch. You have the same eyes as me, huh? You're going to go ahead and want to watch the weather patterns. Make sure you don't get any thunderstrike. That is why they can be quite deadly. I wouldn't worry about bears and mountain lions and all that other stuff. Mooses you should definitely be aware of. I hope you guys all had a great time hanging out today and checking out the mountain. Maybe you learned something new, or maybe you just had a fun time hanging out. But until next time, everyone, keep exploring, and maybe I'll see you out on the trails.